because we are live in 3, 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
Yeah. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete. What's up?
And we are coming to you live from the internet, the only place to be these days. Very excited to chat with all of you. We are live in 2 places. We are live on Crowdcast. We're also live over on YouTube. We are, as I like to say, undead over on the audio podcast. As that rolls out later. If you're over on YouTube, give us a little bit of a thumbs up. We always like that. We like the likes over there. Thank you very much for listening. Now we have three amazing guests for you guys tonight on the show, plus the regular round of questions that we'll get to later on, surprises, other things like that. But if you guys...
Alex, wait. There's surprises?
Prizes and surprises. Can I mention... this is a surprise, but I can mention something that happened this week. So... about like last Wednesday or Thursday.
It's just for us, I bet. Pete.
What?
This is probably if Alex is bringing, it's got to be something that's good for us.
Yes. No. This is all positive. No. This is great. So my son, my 6-year-old son, around Thursday or Friday. He always is wondering what we're doing down here with Comic Book Club and recording and podcasts and everything. And he was like, you should really have a theme song. And I was like, well, actually, we do have a theme song.
A great
like,
theme song.
No, but you really need a theme song. And I was like, actually, there's this woman, Kimmy Gatewog. She's pretty famous. She was on Glow. She's been on Atypical and a bunch of other things. Great director. Really famous.
Hilarious
our theme song. Yes. And that's pretty awesome. He's like, yeah, but I came up with the theme song.
Oh,
he
came up with it. Is he trying to like become our producer or something?
Is he trying to bump Kimmy Gatewood?
He said something about shots fired. I know that.
Wow.
Okay. But he has, and this is no joke, actually, he has been going around singing his version of what he thinks the CBC theme song should be all week. So I recorded it really quickly right before the show. I was hoping I could play it here and maybe get your guys' opinion on it, if that's
great. Yeah, this is a platform. Let's get this kid out there.
All right. Okay, here we go. This is his theme song.
CB. CBE. CB. I meant C. 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 BC. CBC. Yeah, they're the Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. The Comic Book Club. It's a club of comics. Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Bombs on him. I love
There's a theme song. So
a little fireworks at the end there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an explosion going on. What do you think? Should we replace Kimmy's theme song with that? Keep Kimmy's...
No. Tell him to learn to play some instruments. Tell him about, show him real music and then what he did, and then have him make the connections on his own. You know what I mean?
You don't need to rub his nose in his lack of a full band.
Do you know what? He's getting put to bed by my wife right now. I'm going to go upstairs and be like, get a job!
Yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Just throw a saxophone into his bed with him and see if he can. You're not getting up until you can give us this solo. Let me say, he's got a gravelly, sort of haunting voice that he's bringing.
Yeah, sounds like a chain smoker. I like it.
Yeah, he has 3 packs a day. I can't stop him. I did that thing where I was like, oh, you're going to smoke one? Smoke the whole pack. And he was like, dude, you mind if I do?
Nice. Real Tom Waits vibe. I feel like you can have going on here.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got a lot of guests on the show, as I mentioned, so I'm going to invite the first one here into the stream right now. His name is Kylar Merrell. He's one of the creators behind Stonewood Mountains, a new Kickstarter project that is on ye old Kickstarter right now. It is a charming tale of 2 kids who get lost in the woods and some terrible things happen to them.
Yeah, been
as
there.
It all happened. Ladies and gentlemen, Kylar Merrell!
Hey, welcome to CBE. I mean C.
Glad to be here. Whichever one it is. Same thing.
Kylar, thanks so much for coming on. Excited to have you here. You are based in Oklahoma, is that right?
Yep, I am a 3rd grade teacher in Seminole.
Wow.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's a little crazy right now, but it is what it is.
Yeah, wait, are you, this has nothing to do with the comic books. Are you doing in-person schooling or are you doing remote? What's going on?
Yeah.
We're in person and every once in a while they call us out, but we only had to do that one other time. But around here, a lot of schools are closing, so we're just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's where we are here in New York as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe everywhere.
I just wanted to say thank you for what you do, man. That's a tough job, and somebody's got to watch these kids and keep an eye on them for a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I get a kick out of them as much as they are a pain in the butt. I love them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And third grade is such that middle area between crazy child, I'm yelling all the time, and being everything's intense. I'm in love with you.
I spent some time in 4th and 5th grade, and there was too much. Are you going to be my boyfriend? Do you like me? I'm done with that. That was enough. That was enough. 1 year that was it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your Kickstarter project, Stonewood Mountains, which is going right now. It's a fun book. As we mentioned, it's about two kids get kind of lost in the woods. Some creepy stuff happened. Talk about the initial idea, how you're balancing that with teaching third grade at the same time, and where the inspiration came from. It's
something that's been around in my head for, I don't know, 5-6 years at this point. It's been around for a while, and it's based on it's gone through a lot of phases. One of the first phases is now it's a kid-friendly book, but originally I was going to make it it was going to be super adult. I was getting really into Kevin Smith, and it was going to be super stoner comedy, that kind of thing. Nice. And I was but then as I was writing it, I was like, I just couldn't do it. As much as I like that, I couldn't write it myself. And so it's just changed over time a lot. The characters are actually based on two of my own friends, JC and Ashley. They live out in San Diego. I knew them in high school, and so I kind of based it around them. And it's just I wanted to do something kid-friendly because, like I said, I'm a teacher, and something that eventually I can put on my own shelf and show a kid, hey, look, I wrote that. I'm kind of a success, So
slightly successful.
Exactly. I'm moderately successful. I showed them one book that I self-published a couple months ago, and they were blown away. And it's something that it's 30 pages. It's a floppy. That's nothing. But they were like, "Oh my god!" So
I mean, come on, you're their teacher, and you're doing something they find cool. That would mind as a child.
Yeah. I just forget that to them I'm an adult. To me, I'm still, nobody, but to them, they're like, oh no, he's like a real person. And I'm just like, I'm not, I don't know anything either. But
I like the idea that you sort of masquerade as a third grader. You sit at a little desk, you're like, you know what, I'll teach today. We're all peers here.
I'm in the class, and I think it works most of the time. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But
we're all in this together.
Exactly. But you said balancing it. Like I said, it's something I've been working on for 5 or 6 years, or not 5 or 6, probably 4 or 5. But it's just been, so back when I was a college student, this doesn't make sense. I had more time than I do now. Now it's a, full-time job. And then on top of that, come home, grade papers, make sure assignments are up online, all that kind of stuff. So I don't have as much time now, which I regret because the Kickstarter takes a lot more than I planned. Because I did another book in the spring called Pandemics and Panels. It was just a super low-key anthology that I just kind of threw together on a whim. And I had time because I was in quarantine. And so I was like, oh, I can do this book. I can run this Kickstarter. And then not thinking about the fact that, oh, no, I have a full-time job to do. And so it's been a bit of a trip, but we're here now. So
this is very much side to the Kickstarter, but I'm curious, since you are talking about teaching graphic novels, I feel like every couple of months this debate comes up about teaching graphic novels in schools. Certainly we're a comic book talk show, so we're on the side of it works, kids should do it, kids should read it, it's reading like anything else. But
sure is. There's
always this back and forth. Is that something you've dealt with at the school, particularly as not just a comic book fan, but also as a comic book creator?
No. I mean, I've never run into any issues with it. I will say that I love the idea of having comics in my room. I have a few on my shelf. The problem is there's a couple problems with it. One of them is because we have AR tests, so kids can read a book and test on it, their comprehension and all that. And it's hard to get them to read a comic book with the same enthusiasm, or not enthusiasm, but with the same attention that they read a regular book, because they see a comic book as, oh, this is fun, I can look at the pictures, flip through, I get what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But with a book, they have to pay attention. And so that's a hard thing to do. And it's also difficult because you can't read comic books out loud. You can. I've done a few of them, with my document camera, so it shows it up on the board. And it's doable, but it's not ideal. It's just hard you can't read the dialogue. It's not the same. They can get the idea, but they don't understand the full thing. So I like the idea. I wish I could do more. It's just hard to logistically work out.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never heard that sort of take on it before. I feel like that's something that in practice it's actually is difficult. Like you're saying.
I mean, I've thought about going to other shops around here and kind of just get like in the quarter bin and just grabbing a bunch of them and just doing a lesson on those. But it's still going to be difficult to do because kids are so wishy-washy and they're very picky.
Yeah. Let's get back to the book for a second. No, that was great and very illuminating. So thank you. So you have these two kids. They get lost in the woods, as we saw in the art. If you were watching it live, they start to encounter some weird lights and strange thing happens. So what can you kind of tease about the plot of the book?
Well, the plot is the first 6 pages, which is online at the Kickstarter, Stonewood Mountains. They wake up in the woods and they realize that the trees around them aren't what they went to sleep to. They realize that somehow in the middle of the night things have changed, and they see the will-o'-the-wisp, the little balls of light, and so that's kind of where we jump off at, that they don't know where they are and they're lost. And the thing is, these two kids they couldn't be more different. You have Jason, who's very shy and very introspective, and then you have Ariel, who's always ready to go on an adventure. And so she's like, we're lost, this is awesome. And Jason's the opposite. He's terrified. He's like, I don't want to, we got to find our way home. She's like, this is fun. And so it's kind of them playing off that. And slowly they realize that there's this force called the rot, and it's taking over the woods. It's eating it up. And they come into contact with lots of different magic and other forces that they have never seen before. And it's hard to explain, because if the book gets made, it's something that there's a lot of secrets in it. But like I said, it's mostly just two kids learning to be friends with each other, because they used to be best friends and their bond was always through the outdoors. And now that they've slowly grown apart, and this is kind of their last chance effort to come back together. And I think that's kind of the core of the book, really. Is kind of sticking with those character moments, because those are what people pay attention to, is a character moment. So
yeah, I think that's so important to have that core beyond any of the weird stuff that's going on, and it clearly comes through both in the art and the plot of the book. At this point, how much time do you have left in the Kickstarter if people want to jump in?
We have about 11 days or something. 8 days. I was wrong. And that's kind of the problem is we are far from our goal, but that's kind of, we knew that going in. We knew we were asking for a lot, and neither me or the artist, Gabby Scanlon, who's been amazing and who's been probably just as, if not more involved than I had been, just because she seems to have really connected with these characters a lot. She's part of the reason that we really built on the character aspect of it. But it's just, we knew what we were getting into, and we've learned a lot of lessons. And so I think what we've kind of been trying to tell people is, we know we've pretty much come to terms with it's not going to fund. And we're both too stubborn to give up. We've literally said that. We've both been like, I'm not going to quit. And we've both been like, yeah, no, I'm not either. So we decided we're going to push through it. And because if people back it, we can keep track of that, and we can be aware of who's backed it, because the thing about Stonewood Mountains is it's not dead. It's not going to be dead. Like I said, it's something I've worked on for 4 or 5 years, and so I'm not done with it. She doesn't seem to be done with it either. I mean, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she, like I said, she seems to have gotten pretty into it, and so we're going to try to relaunch next year. But if people keep backing, we have some special rewards in mind for next time. That if you back this time and then you back again next time, we'll be able to know. Oh, Alex, Pete, you guys backed it the last time. We know that. Here, we'll slide in this extra print. We might give you early access. We're still figuring out the logistics, but we have a couple pretty good ideas. So yeah, just if people want to, just keep backing it, because like I said, I think it's a good project. This is hopefully the first of 3 volumes. We'll see how that goes, but yeah.
So in this scenario, me and Pete backed it, but Justin didn't. That's interesting. That's an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, well, Justin's face is not there right now, so I couldn't really.
But it's because we grew apart, and we're gonna go on an adventure.
We're gonna find our way. That's what's gonna bring us back. Yeah, we
used to, and we got to do it again. And whatever monsters come for us, well,
I think
you'll
we can handle
live
it.
on.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. Oh, even better. That's great.
Kylar, thank you so much for coming on the show. Good luck with the project,
Absolutely.
whether it finishes now or next time. It's awesome to talk to you, and good luck with the kids. Good luck with school and everything.
I really appreciate it, guys. Glad to be here.
All right.
Yeah, take care of yourself.
Great to meet you.
All right. Once again, that project is called Stonewood Mountains, and it is on Kickstarter right now. For the next 8 days, as he mentioned, if you want to support it. We're going to turn from one Kickstarter project to another one and invite our next guest into the stream here.
For us, the 3 of us, to drift apart and have to go on an adventure, because we've been going strong for Hey, here we
go. Our next guest, who I didn't have a chance to introduce before he got on, but Travis Gibb from Cthulu Invades Oz. Very excited. Yes. Travis, how are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be on the show. I watch the show a lot. The last one, I'm a little bit behind. The last one I watched was a David Pepose, and I learned that adults can get poison ivy, and that was shocking. You know, I didn't learn anything about comics. I expected David to drop the knowledge about how to create amazing comics and raise amazing amounts of money, but I learned that poison ivy can be good by adults.
Well, let's just say if you're immature enough, poison ivy can affect you. It's just Pete really got stung by it, but as a regular adult, no, you're immune to it.
Yeah, we did 14 years ago. We got together. We were all performers at the Pit, the People's Improv Theater here in New York, and we decided we want a show that's going to raise awareness about adult poison ivy, whether you believe it or not. And finally, that's paid off. So, Travis, thank you so much.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, let's talk about Cthulhu Invades Oz. I think people can figure out what the concept is based on the title here. But this is not just one story about Cthulhu invading Oz. This is a ton of stories that are playing throughout this, I believe. What can you tell us about the project?
Yeah, so it's 52 creators telling 17 stories. And basically, it's the story of every character, what happens when Cthulhu invades. And we basically take war zone points. Like, this is invasion day 45. This is invasion day 27. All these different invasion points and what happens during those times. And we kind of look at what would happen. This is a linear anthology. Even though it's an anthology, it's a linear anthology, meaning that everything happens in continuity. There is a continuity that goes, there's a beginning and an end to the book, which is really cool. And this book is done by some of the greatest people who are doing Scout Books or Mad Cave or Source Point, Action Labs. A lot of the indie guys, the people on my level, we all contributed to put this awesome book together.
That's an unbelievable cover there that you.
Yeah. So how did that work? How did you get everybody together to work on this? Because this seems, this seems like a unbelievable difficult project to hold together, given the amount of people that are involved.
Yeah. So the secret is you ask everyone who you think is talented, and you accept anyone who says yes. The mistake that people do is they go, hey, fill out this application and submit your story, and I'll pick which one's best. No, I just picked people who I knew were talented. And because of that, I really got professionals. Like, really, at the end of it, I was like, all right, deadline hit. And I realized that everyone had hit the deadline except for me. Like, I didn't hit the deadline. So I was like, wow, you guys are great. So no, it was not hustle. In fact, they were challenging each other. They were throwing down art, and people were like, I need to redo my page. It's not good enough. So it was great, man. I got super lucky.
Wow. Yeah, the art looks awesome. So much great action on these pages that we're showing here.
Yeah. It's that one right there. So that's the one that I did. the person who drew that is a 14-year-old girl. I chose a 14-year-old girl to draw the origin story to kind of connect with that. So
that's
pretty
awesome.
cool. She's very talented too. That helps.
Yeah, it looks great.
The title is Cthulhu Invades Oz, but it looks like there's a bunch of different monsters beyond the general Cthulhu monster that I think everybody knows with the squid stuff in front of the face. How much H.P. Lovecraft stuff did you kind of pick on? Did you channel? Were there specific stories that you wanted to hit or were off limits? How much guidance was there?
The only guidance of the rules was you could only use your own character. The other rule was if you use a Lovecraft character, it's got to be one of the lower levels so they don't fight, like because there's a couple of different gods. You don't want other mythoses fighting for stuff. So we allowed the deep ones and a few of the other smaller little Lovecraft characters to be filtered through because this should be a essence of Lovecraft as well. The 3 covers that you see, we did like a comic book cover. We did this is like the literal book. Like if you get a book back in the day, this is the cover you'd get, right? And then the third one is a hand painted. That's literally on a Wizard of Oz book. So if you can see in the top corner there, the little Oz, that's because that's what's on that page. The pages were laid out and he painted this on top of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, talk about the Oz side of the mythology then. Most people know the first story. They know the Wizard of Oz, but obviously there are a ton of novels that L. Frank Baum wrote over the course of his career. How much of that did you embrace, and how much did you expect people to know beyond, say, the movie and the horrific sequel movie that Disney made?
Right, yeah, we did, and that's kind of our rule, right? So though we basically are in continuity, it's like the 4th or 5th book, it happens in between there. But we really tried to stick to Return to Oz and Wizard of Oz because those are what everyone's seen, so they know these characters. They may not know these versions of characters, but they've seen them. So there's a couple of other ones smashed in, but yeah. So we have from Return to the Oz, I see people bashing it in the comments, so it's funny to talk about it. We use like TikTok, the cool ones, right? TikTok.
Yeah.
Who else is in that? Like TikTok,
I don't think people
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is terrifying. The way it just rolled up and then vanished after 24 hours. What connection points did you find between the 2 works? Like, were there any oh my God, I can't believe how much sense this all makes?
So here's an interesting thing that we did. So when Cthulhu arrives, and this is kind of spoiling a little bit how the continuity flows, when Cthulhu arrives, he is like he is in a Lovecraft novel. In fact, we even added poetry to kind of give that flow. Because Lovecraft, you remember his writing, it's a little poetic the way he writes. He kind of adds little rhymes in it, Cats of Uthar is probably the best example of that. So we have poems that go through it. And he's really dark when he arrives, and he gets sillier as the Wizard of Oz magic kind of affects him. So
that's cool.
At the end, he's a little more like an Oz villain, right? Like a gnome king than he is stuff. So we kind of flowed that through and kind of played all that together, which has been a lot of fun, and people have really dug that. I mean, people have taken these places, like our Wizard of Oz is black. We decided to make a black Wizard of Oz, kind of change that up. And it's very Game of Thrones-ish, which is kind of fun. So he's using some of the lesser characters of Oz and using his puppets.
Wow.
That's awesome.
If you're pretty close, relatively close to this being successful, you still have time to go, but it's been doing pretty well as a Kickstarter. If it is successful, are you going to do an Oz Invades Cthulhu sequel?
So the sequel was announced. We had a rule: if we could get to halfway funded in the first week, which we did, we had announced the sequel. There is a sequel. It's being developed. It is Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
Moving on.
Here's the catch: everything that happens in this book is continuity. So, like I just said, Cthulhu's a little wonky, so he may be a little weird when he comes to Wonderland, which will fit in fine, based off of Cheshire Cat and the drugs that are in that movie. I'm pretty positive it's all drugs.
Yeah.
Poor guy. This is going to be a rough couple of months for him, I think.
For Cthulhu?
For Cthulhu, yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. I don't know. It's going to sort of relaxing to go to the drug world. It's going to chill out.
Travis, how much more time do you have on the Kickstarter at this point?
All right, so we've got 7 days, so we're one less than them, but we are only 3,000 away from making it, 3,500 or so. With our momentum, we're probably going to fund. I mean, obviously, we need any support we can get, but we're on track to do so. And I mean, we got 50 creators, and we've got some of the best art as you guys have seen. So just kind of check it out, see if you like it. We've got 6 of the stories already unlocked that people can read. Full of the stories.
Awesome. Well, you're going to get that patented comic book club bump coming up, I think is what's going to happen.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I need a back of the book, so you guys got to put together a back of the book. Did you guys get the preview?
Yes.
Make sure you share it around. I want a back of the book for you guys. So seriously, I am actually a fan. I watch this show all the time.
Thank you so much.
You guys are doing great for the community. I love that you guys have pros and mix in indie guys. Like, really, you guys are a blessing, and there needs to be more shows like what you guys have.
Hey, we're just trying to help, man.
We love it all.
That's great.
And
Travis.
Poison Ivy, again, it's going to save my life. If I ever go outside, I know to look down.
Be careful.
Listen,
again, don't worry about it. I had a poison ivy salad for dinner tonight. It's totally good. It's great, shredded with a light vinaigrette. Very good.
Yeah. What did you put on there? A little calamine lotion?
Yeah, it's good. It's real thick. It's like a ranch dressing in a lot of ways.
Very nice. Travis, good luck with everything. So glad to have you on the show. Thanks for listening and watching as well.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Nice
Once again,
man.
very nice. Travis Gibb, Cthulhu Invades Oz, currently on Kickstarter right now. Looks wild.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, Pete,
cool.
That's definitely your style, I think. You want to see him kick
definitely.
Dorothy's butt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't you scared of the Wheelers, Pete?
Don't answer, Pete. Instead, I'm going to invite our next guest into the show. His name is Isaac Goodhart. He is the artist behind Victor and Nora, a Gotham Love Story, which is just out from DC. It's another one of their great line of incredible YA graphic novels. So very excited to have him on. Oop, looks like that missed. I'm going to try one more time.
Missed? What are you?
It missed.
Scary mist.
You lasso the guests in? Like
it's like a whole Western theme here on Crowdcast.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Very, very cool. Pete, did you have a Poison Ivy flashback just then?
Yeah, definitely. Hi,
hey
guys.
guys, everybody. Hello,
Hey,
thanks
Alex.
for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
What's up?
Great
Oh
to
my
be here.
gosh. No, very excited to chat. So Victor and Nora, a Gotham Love Story, is currently out from DC. As we mentioned, it's part of this line of YA graphic novels that DC have been putting out that have been so awesome across the board.
Yes.
As people can probably tell from this one, it focuses on a much younger version of Victor Fries and Nora as their first meeting. It's very sweet. It's very sad. But the big thing that I wanted to talk to you about right off that I think was so great about this book, and maybe spoilers here for people who haven't read it, but you embrace so many different art styles throughout the book.
Yes.
What was that like trying to tackle that?
Well, it was a big challenge. Also, thank you for reading the book.
No, it's really good. I mean, I love these characters.
Me too.
They're so memorable. From the Batman the Animated Series storyline that I feel like really was just truly hard, especially as a kid watching that. I was like, oh my God, it hits like Romeo and Juliet level.
Are we all the same age? Like, do we all have the same reference point? Because I grew up with Batman the Animated Series. Did you guys too?
Yeah, okay. I'm 24, but I've really researched a lot.
You don't look a day over 40, so that's great.
Thank you. Oh, good. That's
but
okay.
Yeah, no. So to your question though, Alex, the different styles, that was Lauren. And that wasn't a conversation that we had. That was just sort of in the script. And then organically, as we moved forward, we tried more things, So when I first got the script, I got the first third. And Lauren had on whatever page it is, 15 or so. Let's try something in a different style. I think it might be a little bit, it could be cool. It could be fun to try this and make it feel more like a fantasy sequence. And we did a little bit of that sort of in Under the Moon, a Catwoman Tale, which was our first collaboration at DC. That was in the first wave of DC YA titles. So, everything that Lauren and I do is just pushing a little bit more and trying to get, make moments a little bit bigger than it was the last time. So it really was organic. So Lauren said, maybe we could try it. I'm thinking like sort of like an old like school cartoon video from the 50s, and that was our first style change. So I drew it in this. 1950s fallout shelter, safety video that you would see in school projections.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it worked, and we sent it to the editors, and they were happy, and everyone was happy. And so after that, Lauren just put in more of those, because then she could see that I was game and I wanted to do this. And so throughout the story, we're like trying to put in as many different styles and things that would make sense for these fantasy sequences or these expositional moments. If we could draw it in a different style, comics is so great because it's this visual medium, and we can show information in all these different ways. And that was sort of the thinking going in. So we have that as the different styles, but then if you'll indulge me and let me rant about the book a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have that kind of stuff, but then throughout the story, one of the things that I wanted to do visually is pull in all of these aesthetics from Batman lore. So like if you look at Gotham, I spent a lot of time designing Gotham, and I put a lot of thought into how I wanted to present the city, because that's like the big Batman character that's not a character, right? I mean, if you ask like any, I know it didn't really make sense. I saw Alex, your eyes. You're like,
no.
Like, when you ask like people,
never look Alex in the eyes. Never. It's
just
very
it's
dangerous.
turned to stone. It's terrible.
It's like
no,
wild
totally
animal.
makes sense. I mean, Gotham. You're absolutely right. Gotham is the main character in Batman, even more so than Batman. I mean, that's something that I think Scott Snyder really leaned into very heavily in his run, and to the point you're making. For those who haven't read the book, there's this wonderful, I think it's a double-page splash where Nora kind of looks out at Gotham, looks out at the bridge, looks out to the spread of the land, which is so cool and comes to bear exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I think I can throw it up over here for you guys, so you can, if this isn't getting too choppy for everybody watching. There's the cityscape, and one of the, I'm pulling in all these different aesthetics, and I'm trying, like you mentioned, the Scott Snyder run. Greg Capullo does a great Gotham City, and his is like, he's one of the best Gotham artists. He has this mix of 1980s New York with this Victorian era architecture, and it's weird, but it works, and it's amazing. Jim Lee draws a really weird Gotham City. Batman Year One is just Manhattan and the darkest parts of Manhattan when it was real bad, right? So the Art Deco Batman from Gotham from Batman animated series. Oh, yeah. So I was trying to pull all those things in. I have a little bit of Akira in the book towards the end. And the biggest influence on me with Gotham was Anton Furst, who was the designer of Gotham in those Batman movies, the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of weird pipes, a lot of weird things. And the Joel Schumacher...
Unnecessary pipe.
Yeah, everything is unnecessary. Everything, the more unnecessary, the better. Just like weird sky bridges, and I wanted to throw all this stuff in because that stuff is so fun. And it's... the Tim Burton movies, especially Gotham, is really quirky and weird, like our book is, but it's also, there's this almost menacing thing about it, aspect to it. So when you talk about styles and the different styles that we're doing, we're also pulling in that stuff for the backgrounds and the settings, and then of course the hallucination. So that Nora has. So Nora in our book, just like in all of Batman lore, Nora has a degenerative brain disease. And we're showing that visually in our book. And as the story progresses, every time she sees one of these hallucinations that is tormenting her and following her and flaring up in these big emotional moments, I was drawing it in a different style almost every time you see it. So I work digitally. I'm a digital artist. I do everything in Photoshop. But towards as we move forward, I was trying different materials, and I was breaking out like paints and old inks and crayons, chalk, just anything I could find. So So thank you for asking about the different styles. It's one of the things that I'm most excited about in Victor and Nora. And thank you so much to Lauren for challenging me. Thank you so much to DC and DC Editorial for saying, yeah, go ahead, like experiment, do whatever.
Awesome.
You know, that's and that's one of the coolest things about working in this line, in this DCYA line, is that you have this kind of freedom to do that.
What I love about it in this story specifically is the story is a romance about these characters that later become into this fantastical world of becoming a supervillain and like being all that. And I think the genre pieces and the different art styles really build us from and sort of everyday romance into that world in a way that when you arrive at the end, you're like, oh, right, great. We're here into the comic book part of the story. And I think it's paced so well. It was really a pleasure to in that way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I'm curious about your takes on Victor and Nora. You talked about the general look of the book, the look of Gotham, but of course, Victor and Nora are front and center there. And the way that we think, to Justin's point about Victor and Nora, is we think of Victor as being like completely pale, having no hair, having a bubble over his head. Nora's frozen, but
it's no bubble here.
There's no bubble. What's going on? But given that's our idea of them, how do you go back and design these characters to look like the teens that they are in this book?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Victor's look, that is Lauren. Because I'm such a level 10 turbo nerd, right? So like when I first designed Victor, he's just like I had him like bald, like maybe a little hair, he's got the goggles, and Lauren was who comes from this YA world. She's saying, if we're doing a YA book, this is not it,
This man needs to be attractive, sir.
Like, can we make this? And it was the same deal with Under the Moon, a Catwoman tale. I had, the Darwin Cook, Adam Hughes style Catwoman with the short hair, pixie cut. And Lauren, again, was like, this is what we're trying to do, and you're over here, and can we...
She reeled you in a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah, she's that, and that's why I love her so much. That's why I love our collaboration. So as far as Victor goes in our book, I think of Victor Freeze, I think of the same Mr. Freeze that you guys do. But we're thinking with our book, who are these characters when they're young? And if we're gonna Nora is as beautiful as she is in Batman the Animated Series and all the comic books that we know. So who does a girl like that fall in love with when she's a teen? And so, Victor, this is Victor before all the fights with Batman, before all the things and the trauma and the struggles in his life that made him stress out and distort with years of pain and anguish. So this is a different person. I'm a different person now than when I was a teenager, and so is Victor. So we're trying to present them in this different light and give enough information and hints of who these characters are going to grow up to be. But these are different people now when they're teens. So I think that when you read the story, you'll see like, oh, this is. We have hints even from the first few pages of the villain that he's going to be, because even though Victor's a great guy in our book, he has moments where he loses control. He has scary moments, So all that stuff were conversations in the very beginning and things that we that informed the look of these characters from day one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When you're doing something like this is very focused, and I think to its benefit, on Victor, on Nora, on their respective families, whether they're deceased or not. As we saw in the pages that we put up on screen, you find out pretty early that Victor's brother died in the early going. That's kind of one of the things that motivates him. But is there that temptation to kind of sneak those Easter egg characters in anyway, those other characters who exist in Gotham, because there's so many of them? Or are they in there in the book and people should be looking for them?
We don't have any other characters from Batman lore. What we do have, I did put in a couple of Easter eggs. So we've got like Deanie's Diner, you can find that. I definitely put in Mike Mignola's name somewhere because he designed the iconic like swimming tube outfit of Mr. Freeze. And you know the what else? I got the goggles. You know, you got to put in Mr. Freeze's goggles. So I figured out a place to put that in. So that's just me and my own like fanboy nerdy excitement. I'm throwing that in. The Under the Moon of Catwoman tale, I think I had like a couple dozen Easter eggs. You know, I even like put in like Penguin's duck vehicle from Batman Returns, like that's in there. You know, like I was just throwing in as many things like Falcone Tower and all this kind of stuff from like deep cuts. Like I have like a dog monster from Batman Beyond season 3 in there that no one will ever notice that except for me. I did get a really cool message from a couple of like Jim Ballin is his name, and that's the Catwoman artist that I grew up with. So I had a character wearing a Jim Ballin shirt. He actually reached out to me on Facebook. He was like, "Thanks for the shout out." I was like, "I love everything that you did."
That is awesome.
Yeah,
we got a question here on YouTube for Ramsey Hassan. Says, would you be into a third Gotham YA book? And if so, which characters would you want to explore next?
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that question. I love working in this line. I love working with Lauren. I would definitely love to do another thing. I always thought Nightwing would be a really cool character with a lot of YA potential. You know, I'm really interested in, as far as Nightwing goes, like him finding Dick Grayson finding his own identity. You know, there's a lot of YA potential there. I mean, I was this demographic, this age when I started thinking my parents didn't have all the answers, you know, and that metaphor of Robin becoming Nightwing is very strong, you know. So I would love to. A Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, like full on romance where it's not even about the superheroes, it's about like their relationship. I would love that. Yeah. Definitely. You know, one of the things that we were talking about when we first started pitching and talking about ideas with the DC editorial was they wanted a romance story from us. That was sort of a hole in the line. And so they were looking for these big romance stories. And I think that a Barbara Gordon, Dick Grayson story would be awesome. I think that would be great.
Very cool. We got a question here from Stray Bullet, who wants to know, most important question, does Isaac ever cosplay as Jon Snow? I'm
going to take that as a compliment. Thank you very much.
I think it is. It's meant as a compliment. For sure.
No, I haven't. But I'm gonna start now. I guess I gotta go.
Now's the time. There's no better time than now to be making some strong Jon Snow.
Winter is coming, man. Come on.
Exactly. I'm on it. You can count on me.
Other than this, what else do you have coming up now that this book is finally out in the world? What can you plug?
Well, I see that you got a Wonder Woman t-shirt on. Very cool. So tomorrow we've got Wonder Woman Agent of Peace issue 17. That's out on digital platforms, Comixology, and Wonder Woman is one of my favorite characters of all time. Anything that's written by the great, amazing Andrea Shea. She is a close friend. I knew her when she was an editor at Aspen Comics, she gave me one of my first portfolio reviews. I was like 2011 or something. And she's since moved on to DC, and she edits Suicide Squad with Tom Taylor and Aquaman with Kelly Sue DeConnick, and she's incredible. And so we did a Mera story together. That's Aquaman Deep Dives. I forget the number. Let's say it's 8 or something. I don't know. People find it. And we are doing this Wonder Woman short. Chris Peter is the colorist on that. She was the colorist on Victor and Nora as well. This is our, I think, 4th project together. So she's awesome. I love this team. I love working with them. And it's a really, really fun standalone story. So I think I was actually watching Scott Snyder on your channel, on your show, and he was talking about how this is a really cool, fun place to test out new talent. And I was like, oh, I think he's talking about me.
Yeah.
So,
the best.
Yeah. So we've got that coming out tomorrow. I am also in the upcoming Flashbacks anthology, which is edited by Mayim Bialik, who is a star, a Hollywood celebrity. And there are a couple of things in the pipeline. So you can follow me on Instagram, Isaac Goodhart, Isaac-Goodhart on Twitter. I'm a lot less active on there. But when that stuff is announced, that's where I'll be posting about that.
Where you jump in.
Awesome. Yeah. Isaac, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congrats on the book. It really is fantastic. And I can't wait for people to read it.
It's so good.
Check it out.
It's beautiful.
Thanks, guys. Really, really appreciate it. And I remember you guys. I do want to say this before you kick me out. I knew I was following you guys during the Nerdist days.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really cool that I was going to SVA in New York City, and I could never get it together to get to a show. I think you were doing it out of UCB. Is that right?
The pit.
The pit.
Same
thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and back then I was actually 14, so I was up very late at night. That was long ago, but I'm very young, as we said.
Yeah, he would get all tuckered out, and I'd carry him home after the shows.
God,
that's adorable.
So much candy, not alcohol. The comment over on the side here, the comments are screaming to tell you that they love your vibes so much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a very nice side scroll, and I'm always. I don't know what to look at. This is a very overwhelming.
Honestly, don't look at the
guys here. We're meeting for the first time. There's text over here. It's bananas. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Amazing. Isaac, thank you so much for coming on.
I hope we can do this again, guys. Thank you.
We'd love to. Let us know when you have a new thing.
Bye.
Okay,
all right. There we go. What? I gotta.
Alex, you're a monster with
the monster.
You're a monster.
What's good? I'm just saying, because he's such a sweet, cool guy.
It's great. The vibes are good. The brand is strong.
Good vibes. Good vibes, man. And definitely pick up Victor and Nora, a Gotham Love Story. It's really great. And like we were talking about, absolutely gorgeous. All of the art comes through beautifully, and the story is good too.
It's really great.
Yeah, really fun book. And folks, we're going to move on to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience question.
Hey, audience question.
And for audience questions, we're going to go to you all, the audience, in two places. If you're over on YouTube, and keeping an eye on the comments, definitely give us a little bit of a thumbs up. We like that. On Crowdcast, I see a bunch of questions already, and ask a question, but if you haven't, drop one there, and we will judiciously go through them.
Alex vets all the questions, so you got to get through quite a gatekeeper when it comes to asking an inappropriate question.
Yes. Do we want to talk about what we're drinking first?
Yes, that's normally how it works.
Pete, what are you poisoning yourself with this week?
Well, I'm
antifreeze and scope.
I'm polishing off a little bit of. We had a little white wine, so I'm finishing off the white wine that we had.
Nice. The way you say it, you sound like a real connoisseur.
Is it a house white? What's going on? What do you got?
I'm having some of the white wine.
I don't know, man. It's like, it's...
I don't know. It's got a bunch of French words on it.
It's just got a picture on it, and it's white wine, so I don't know.
Yeah, there probably are words on there somewhere, I'd wager, but
reading's
who has the time
overrated.
to read them? Yeah.
Justin, what about you? What do you got?
I'm drinking can.
Yeah, can.
To name it in a Pete way, it's just a can. I opened the can and I drank what was in it. This is Juice Bomb IPA.
Little Juice Bomb.
It was a nice cold day out there, really chilly, so I went over to the old beer distributor. Hold on.
Whenever Alex goes to the beer distributor,
the temperature before he
talks about the Southern Tier 2 Xmas Spiced Double Ale.
Take this cow to the store and come back with money, and you come back with a bunch of cinnamon magic beans.
This is real good. If you never had it, from Southern Tier, one of my favorite breweries. It's brewed with orange peels, ginger root, cardamom, cinnamon, fig paste, and cloves. It is delightful.
Fig paste, my favorite ingredient. Someone took a canister of potpourri and poured it into some lovely hops.
Have you ever had a Bud fig paste? Because it's actually not bad.
Yeah. No, totally good. 0 calories, Bud Fig Paste. Great big football season beer.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to some questions. Over on YouTube, Nelson Martinez asks, what are some of your, this is a straight up your alley, Justin, what are some of your guys' favorite animated series of all time? I'm finishing Avatar soon and need to start something new.
Avatar. All right.
Yeah.
I'm also finishing it soon.
Avatar, great. Adventure Time. I think I'm just about to dip back in and just rewatch some Adventure Time because that shit is amazing. I talk a lot about the mythologies in both Avatar and Adventure Time. These are the best mythologies on television. Get back into them. Primal's really good. We talk about that show a lot. What else? What about some of the classics?
Cowboy Bebop, I recently during the quarantine watched for the first time. Pretty amazing.
I'll throw out Gravity Falls. That's on. Such a good show. And even if you've watched all of it, I was so surprised to find this on Disney Plus. They have a ton of Gravity Falls shorts that I'd never seen before. I guess they were things that like played in commercials on the Disney Channel, but they're really funny. And my kids have now watched Gravity Falls, I think 3 times through, watched all of the shorts. It's great. Such a good show.
Gravity Falls, another show with like a great backstory that really unfolds over the course of it. My kids have been watching Gummy Bears. And that's not as good as it was as a child.
Don't go back and try to watch that stuff. I tried to watch Thundercats. I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I don't know if they were putting real top caliber talent into the writer's room over there.
I don't know. The bears bounce or some shit. They eat another berries, and then somebody says, Dookie.
Now the Snorks. Now that holds up.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just as thoughtful and intelligent as they were the first time you watched them. On the USA Cartoon Express.
Oh,
that's where I watched it.
Let's go over here to
the Hair Bear Bunch.
Hair Bear Bunch!
Let's go over here to Crowdcast. We got a question from Edward Doherty. As we all know, the first issue of the Justice League of America from 1960 featured a bright primary color scheme, and ever since, the popcorn quality of the comic has been reflected by its vibrant palette. Having said that, why do you think Zack Snyder
goes to Stan Lee here, or what's the deal?
Yeah. Having said that, why do you think Zack Snyder is a visionary genius from saying his ideal viewing of his Justice League cut should be in black and white? And why do you think Snyder has such great and true understanding of all DC characters? This feels like a very leading question to me, Edward.
Heavy sarcasm in this question. I'm here for it.
Yeah, this is probably partially based on, I don't know if you all saw this, but after taking down the Justice League trailer for HBO Max, they put it back up today with a sound-alike version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, which sounds like it was played on a synthesizer somewhere, which is pretty hilarious.
Cool move. Well, no one will ever detect a sound-alike from
and then a bunch of Zack Snyder's redone visual effects for the movie, including the main one that people are making fun of online. He redid Steppenwolf, the villain, we all know this, but Steppenwolf, the villain of Justice League, and made him way sharper. Like like a porcupine, basically.
Yeah. But also so stupid looking. He's not at all menacing. He looks like a candelabra in like a French palace or something. Like, I love the meme that I saw going around was the Knives Out sculpture replaced by him.
Oh, yeah.
Which was good. Funny. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about this? I mean, is there any chance? There's so much discussion, and obviously the Snyder Cut people are so bullish for it, and everybody else is so negative for it. Is there any chance this is going to be good or interesting, or is it just going to be a $70 million disaster on top of a $300 million disaster?
I mean, I feel like it's almost passé to say it's going to suck. Like, at this point, I just want to... I'll watch the first hour and see what's happening, maybe. But the Justice League movie was so bad, and he's only adding, 5 new minutes of footage?
He said 4 new minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 4 new minutes. And the rest of it is just, like, other footage that was cut and replaced when they redid it. Like, I just don't know what story... And it's getting into a lot of, like, the regenerated Superman side of it, which feels like... I don't know what the fun is there. I guess we'll see a bunch of panels from the comics brought to life meticulously, but that's a joyless enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally 100% fair. It wasn't a good movie to begin with, and it wasn't a good story to begin with, so there's not a lot that they can cobble out there. I will say to give it a little bit of credit, to be like mildly positive about this. One of the actually good scenes of the movie is apparently purely Zack Snyder, which is when Superman is resurrected and he's fighting the Justice League. That's a good fight scene. So
It's true.
If they can have some of that stuff peppered throughout, I don't like how the Snyder Cut came about. I don't like the culture behind it or anything like that. I know there's some positives in terms of supporting suicide awareness and what you can do about that. And that's great, but there's so much bullying that happened online that's not good. But at the same time, like, I always want things to be good. I don't want to sit down and watch 4 terrible hours of the Snyder Cut, but 4 okay hours of a Snyder Cut with like some bright spots in it. That would be great. I'd be very happy about that.
That's the spirit, Alex.
Yeah,
4
Alex.
bright spots. That's all we're looking for.
Yeah, 4 minutes of bright
Attack,
spots.
4 bright spots for your boys.
Oh, bright spots for the boys. Over on YouTube, Ooh, interesting. Bandito740 says, 2 guests, also fans. Do the fans of CBC have a name like Comic Book Bubs or something way wittier than that? What do you guys think? We've never talked about this, I don't think, in 14 years. Is there a comic book club fan base name?
I don't know.
There hasn't been yet.
All right, Nat. Nat in the comments says, wait, there are fans. Come on, Nat. You're here every week, Nat. Get over it, Nat.
Yeah, the comic book club kids. Clubbers, a little aggressive. Yeah. I don't know what else. What else we got? The Sizzlers,
LePage heads,
Sizzlers,
Pete heads.
Yeah. The Pete head. I mean, the Pete heads is a whole different faction.
Oh, Zelbaniacs. I like that one. I think that's probably the final answer there.
Please do not feed that ego.
Good question here from Kevin that ties into one of our guests, as well as a clue for his secret quiz that he is running. Besides Nora, Freeze, and Harley Quinn, who are some of your favorite characters created for comic book TV shows, whether or not they later got added back into the original comics? And yes, this is a clue.
Okay.
Kevin's clues are so hard, it makes it. It seems like such an easy thing. It's just
I'm concerned because the star of trivia, seems to be puzzled. He's being out puzzled.
I am. I'm being outplayed by Kevin.
But that said, besides Nora, Freeze, and Harley Quinn, who are some of your favorite characters created for comic book TV shows, whether they got added into the comics or not?
Let's see. What are those characters?
So I'll give kind of like a side answer to this. This is the first thing that came to mind. But King Shark, the way that they do him on Harley Quinn, which late of DC Universe, but now on HBO Max, is so funny. And it's clearly influenced how they're doing him on screen in the Suicide Squad movie that's coming up. And it's such a specific take that existed nowhere on TV beforehand. It's great. I love it.
That's great. I will say the specific, in line with that answer, the specific take on Clayface from the Batman animated series is just great for me. I mean, I feel like a lot of the the lower tier Batman villains were really blown out over the Batman animated series and really given their due in that show.
Yeah, it's hard because there's been a lot of stuff that have come from, whether it's TV or comics that have, had its place and kind of gotten its moments. What's nice now is there's a lot of different mediums. There's a lot of different avenues that stuff can get made. But for me, I went from hating Kite Man to loving Kite Man. And that was because of the animated series. So,
but you're friends with Matt Oberg. That's not fair.
Well, regardless of me knowing Matt Oberg, the character is still fantastic and amazing. So
and there's nobody from Arrow that he shoots somebody and it's like, look, I'm scary. This is cool. No villains from Arrow made it over to the main comics.
Well, I don't know, but
the seasons they did of that show.
Were we talking about live action as well? Because Pete, you didn't say Felicity Smoke, and I feel like I don't even
Felicity Smoke is phenomenal. Such a great character, and also was fun the way that she kind of was part of the Flash as well as the Arrowverse. So,
but he said that made it back in the comic books.
Yeah. Yes. What?
Nothing.
Nope. Nothing. Well, let's move on to some other questions then. Anthony Latch says, have you had the fig paste Oreos yet? Not as good as the fig paste Peeps. Yeah, I eat. I'm on a fig paste mailing list, so I get everything sent to me. Ramsey Hassan says, Animaniacs is back this week. Any show you would like to come back? Pete, Snorks, got you. Justin, what about you?
Covered on the Snorks.
Well, me and Justin both agree that Captain Bucky O'Hare.
Bucky had the O'Hare, and I knew you were going to say that. Bring that. I mean, there are so many.
We were in the golden age of cartoons, I feel like, as a kid, and we got a lot of like great stuff. I mean, Mask not only is an amazing theme song, but also a great show. I'd love for them to come back with that too.
Mask. There's a show called Starcom. Exo Squad. Did anybody watch that? Man, another great Saturday morning cartoon. Transformers Beast Wars. I love that show. Really great. Got into some real existential philosophies for the Transformers.
This is a more recent live action thing, but if we're talking about comic book type stuff, the live action Tick, that should be brought back. Amazon did that dirty. I think
that was so great.
They kind of pushed it to the side for The Boys, which I get because The Boys is a mega hit. But it's the sort of thing that, like, if they had released it after The Boys, I think it would have ridden that wave because it's such a good, fun show. Instead, it came like a year or two too early, which is a real bummer.
I would love to be working on Inside the Tick right now.
Oh my God.
Inside the
Tick Suckers.
Tick Bites.
Tick Bites. Yeah, there we go. Ben the Border Collie says, Miles Morales is starting comics, movies, TV, and now a video game. What medium should he break into next? I'll take this one first. Oreos, I think, based on what we were saying before. We'd love a good Miles Morales Oreo.
Oh, by the way, Alex, this is an intervention about your fig consumption. We need to cut it off.
Yeah.
You're becoming far too twee for our little show. You need to cut off the fig.
Well, excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
He's not even in control of that accent.
Yes, no, not at all. Where would you want to see Miles Morales turn up next?
TikTok.
Great answer. I mean, what's left really? Real life? I'd love to meet him. I'd love to hang with him.
I mean, Straight Bullet, that's just live action television series on Disney Plus, and other than the weird rights with Sony, that feels like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I want more of the Spider-Verse world. I would see a TV version of that before I would want to see a live action version.
Bring back
Does that make sense? Like, I don't even need Spider-Ham. I just think that was such a perfect encapsulation of the character. I want that medium blown out more before we just shift over into another version of it.
Yep. I do want to read this comment over here on YouTube. This was earlier in the show, but this is from Radlum, and this is a crazy thing to follow up on, but I'm glad to hear this. Radlum says, hi guys, greetings from Peru. Good news. After a week of countrywide protests and brutal police repression,
yes,
ACAB, the coup is over. I know normally we don't report on political news, but that did come up a couple of weeks back. So really glad to hear that. I'm glad you're safe, Radlum.
Well, I love Radlum's comment was like, oh, you guys think you have a coup going on? We have a legit coup, so grow up.
And shut up, you whiners.
It is great to hear that everything is going all right down there.
Yeah.
This is a specific request for you, Justin, from Hollywood Homer. If we can get the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, can we get the Star Wars DIY show with Justin on Disney Mass Plus?
I
want to see
you
that
have as
show.
much pull, right, as Zack Snyder?
You know, I almost emailed the people because I was like, surely in this content-starved world, we could find a way to make this happen. But you know what I could do is I have a couple of them. I could probably show that it's such a dead project. I could show them somewhere. So we'll figure out a way to show off me building some truly insane shit.
Maybe Pete and I should do an after-show podcast for it.
Yes, great. Great. I mean, some of these episodes are long. It takes a long. I built an Ewok treehouse. It was hard.
Wow.
And so it was like, it was intense. But I definitely have another one, a bunch. I have like 5 of them on my save somewhere. So yeah, I'll put them up.
Another question from Ramsey Hassan over on YouTube. Loving The Mandalorian, it refers a lot to things from Clone Wars and Rebels shows. Are they worth checking out?
I haven't watched them, but the people that watch them love them. Like I feel like that's it, and those are shows that if you're looking for an animated show, like the question earlier, to blaze through in this period of lockdown, it's a good show to get into.
Pete, have you watched either of them?
No, I keep thinking that I should check it out, and Mando has kind of made me want to do that. So I'm definitely going to try to do that.
So I'll tell you, I watched a bunch of Rebels, which I thought was very good. I watched them with my son, who you might remember as the composer of the Comic Book Club theme song.
Nope, not on our show.
Yeah, he's saying the piano's been drinking, right?
Yes,
that's his song.
So. Clone Wars, though, and I know this is totally unfair, but for when I was writing for AMC, the network, not the movie theaters, they would send me out to see movies sometimes. And I went to a midnight opening showing of the Clone Wars movie, and they were like 10 people there. 5 of them were kind of dressed in Star Wars costumes, and the movie was terrible. And it completely turned me off with the whole thing. It was like, ugh, I don't want to watch this at all. I do hear that it apparently got better as it went along, and once you hit like season 4 or season 5, it's excellent. But personally, for me, that's a little bit of a bar. So like
that's been the barrier to entry for me as well. Is people are like, you're going to love season 6. I'm like, yeah, you're going to love me in 6 weeks to do all that homework.
So I appreciate that people like it. That is awesome. There we go. Here we go. This is a challenge from Luwananana. Who are your top 3 non-male comic authors? P.S. You had to know this was coming after the oh shit expressions on all of your faces when you were asked the question last week and you realized you listed a bunch of dudes. P.P.S. But good job, Alex. You did say one lady. P.P.S.
Wow. The
sexist history of comics definitely isn't your fault, but I'm sure you agree. You should use your platform to make the future better. Great power responsibly, etc., etc. P.P.P.S. Love you, XOXO.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Pete, is this a comic, or is this an issue that you talked about in any fashion?
Yeah, Pete, you should go first with this one.
Okay.
Pete.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, clearly, Pete probably has a look. He's looking at this guy's prepped.
I feel
quickly,
like,
Pete. Google search women comic book creator.
Women.
I mean,
Pete's
for
Googling
me, like,
women.
Jill Thompson, who does that amazing Beast of Burdens book, for me always sticks out. But as far as like writers like Marjorie, was it Alou? I don't want to say her last name wrong, but also the Why the Last Man, Pia is unbelievable.
Pia Guerra.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of just fantastic artists out there, and yes, there we should give due to because it is one-sided. Shout out the women as much as we can.
First Stand Up Guy, I just want to clarify, says, are we sure the history of sexism in comics isn't Alex's fault? And I can neither confirm nor deny.
Nice, good. N.K. Jemisin is a writer we talk about a ton. That Green Lantern series we love.
Far Sector.
And Kelly Sue DeConnick we read a ton of as well. Pete was trying to say Marjorie Liu earlier. Yeah. Her work is great. Gail Simone, obviously, she's written so many things that we love.
Also, Alex DeCampi that we had on the show, such she is such a personality and an amazing person. Like having her on the show made me really go back and look at a lot of her stuff.
I'll also throw out Chelsea Kane, who writes Spy Island that we've been gushing over on the Stack podcast. She's awesome as well. There are a ton of people. Jodie Hauser, people mentioned Gabriel Bell, Rainbow Rowell on Runaways. If you've ever read Rainbow Rowell's novels as well, I'm a huge fan of hers. She is awesome.
I was just looking up Nicola Scott, the artist on Black Magic, who we love that book as well.
Yes. And Luana mentions, Alex said one lady with an oh shit, I have to say a lady expression on his face. You're not wrong about that. I definitely felt like we were listing too many men. And I like Marika Tamaki. She is awesome and been knocking it out of the park. But you're correct. Thank you for knowing me better than any of the other members, hosts of Comic Book Club. I feel like
why,
we have a real
why are we getting shots fired at here?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I feel like me and this person, Lawana Nana, in the comments have a real connection going on here. Probably more than, I don't want to say Justin, but definitely Pete.
Well, she has a history of connecting with Comic Book Club hosts, so it makes a lot of sense.
So, wait. What are you trying to say?
This is extremely inside baseball. Let's move over here to another question. Scott Carpenter says, what announced comic are you looking forward to the most? Ask that on YouTube. Of upcoming stuff, I guess we could talk new stuff, things that are coming up. Anything that you know about that you're particularly excited about that's coming down the pike?
Well, I was really excited about the future state Wonder. Is it Wonder Girl that is being developed into a TV show? I was like, oh, the art on that looks great, and I'm very curious what the story is. It gets future state in general does as an event is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I was not particularly into the idea of future state because it felt like, we're going to do this for 2 months and then move on to the other thing. They're just going to kind of take a break so they can get caught up on the schedule. But the fact that they're all in on that Wonder Girl character, and that means probably more characters as well, that definitely really raised the profile of the whole event in my mind.
And I feel like DC does a good job with their event. Like DC 1 Million, there were a lot of, and while a lot of it was like sort of just filler stuff, there were some great stories that came out of it. So I do think because they have such a long lead on their events, I think creators really have the time to, like, if they want to do something cool, they have the time and mental space to do something cool.
I'm looking forward to the Batman Catwoman thing coming up in DC.
Yes, another great call.
And then also Lock and Key, what is it, Hell and Gone? Is that the name of the next arc after Battalions go? Cannot wait.
Always Lock and Key.
And then the Sandman crossover is coming
that's the
imminently.
Cannot wait for that. Let's go over to Nick Kelly on Crowdcast says, what are some classic children's lit novels that you'd like to see as a comic and perhaps a mashup?
Children's lit novels. I loved as a kid The Bridge to Terabithia, and they did like a movie where they made it into like a magic thing, which I liked less because the whole thing was that it wasn't magical. It was like about play and imagination and stuff. So, but I'd be down to see that story played out.
But what mashup would you want to see? Like Bridge to Terabithia and vampires or something?
Oh, mashup? Oh, I missed that part of the question. Yeah, sure. Vampire.
That would be terrible. Man, I don't think I've ever cried harder than at the end of Bridge to Terabithia.
I still have the image of the end in my brain, and I just read it in a book, and it's been burned into my consciousness for ever the last 30 years since I read that book.
Yeah. This is it said comic and perhaps mashup, actually. One that I'll throw out just because I'm reading this to my son right now. There's a book called The Wild Robot that is real good.
That sounds like a book that is 4 pages long.
Well, that's the thing that's crazy about it is it does seem like that. It's about a robot in a crate that lands on an island that's just filled with animals and comes out of the crate and doesn't know anything about the world and starts interacting with the animals there. And you would think it would be like, oh, this is just a picture book, but it's very smartly written and very interesting and has all of these different characters in it. It's a total chapter book, but some of the chapters are like, some of these are 2 pages long, some are 10 pages long. But there's some really nuanced characters in it, and it does keep making me think of a comic book while I'm reading it. I recommend it.
Yeah, I've been reading this book to my daughter called Shapes. And there's a lot of cool. There's the hexagon feels like sort of a villain, so I really want to see that explored. Circle, classic hero, really going on the hero's journey.
Yeah, Pete, what children's lit books have you been reading lately?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But surely you read a children's book when you were a child, Pete.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if by reading children's books, it meant from like running from your life or fighting your brother or, stuff like that.
What?
Great.
What are you talking
Why don't we move on to Pablo's question here? This is a great question for a comic book show. Pablo wants to know, there's a vaccine coming. Would you take it or wait?
Yes.
Wow.
Pablo cutting through the culture to get to the real shit. Yeah, I'm going to take that vaccine. Vaccine strong. Dolly Parton funded it.
Yeah.
Trust her.
Always go with Dolly.
I will say I definitely have turned around on it because I feel like before the election, I was like, fuck no. Trump gives a vaccine. I'm not going to trust anything about that. That's going to be full of Mountain Dew or something like that.
Oh, well, if it's full of Mountain Dew, I'm already taking it.
Yeah, good job. But I do think a lot of the reports, particularly the second report about the, what is it, Moderna vaccine.
The Pfizer vaccine was the first one at 90% effectiveness. Moderna's yesterday
94.
or the day before was 94 and a half. And it is the fucked up thing for me, not to get too newsy, is the Pfizer one, they're like, it has to be kept at like 80 degrees, negative 80 degrees, some like crazy cold temperature. And the Moderna one is like, yeah, you're going to like ours too because you can keep it in your fridge. It's like, oh, talk about a flex. It's like, hey, you can store ours at regular temperature.
It's 95% effective. And Pfizer was like, we tested it on 100 people, and Moderna was like, 30,000 or something. I don't know what it is. It's good.
Yeah.
So that definitely gave me a lot more hope for that. I think we are not going to be in the first line of people to get a vaccine by any means.
I don't know. I put us in as an essential podcast.
Probably, oh God, I hope April or something like that. That's going to be amazing. First Head Up Guy says, speaking of Isaac's infectious enthusiasm, who are your favorite comic creators as fans?
Ooh.
I'll throw out Dan Slott. Dan Slott is one of the biggest comic book fans I have ever met in my entire life. He loves comics.
Truly, especially of the characters that he works on, specifically Spider-Man. I mean, there is no larger Spider-Man fan than Mr. Dan Slott.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg Pak just like knows his stuff. And
he's
really
a real
fun.
kick in the pants.
He's a real kick in the pants, that guy.
I mean, Scott Snyder, whenever we talk to him, you can feel his energy. The more he talks, the more he gets into talking about comics. And so I guess we sort of switch the question. We're talking about comic creators who are big fans, but who are we big fans of? I would say Alex often points to when I interviewed Neil Gaiman at New York Comic Con, and Alex saw physical hearts broadcasting out of my eyes.
It's true.
And that's fair.
There you go. Good question. Just going to come down here and take a look at some other ones. Let's see. This is another question. We're going to wrap this up real quick. Another question from First Head Up Guy. Have any of you seen literally one episode of Pennyworth, apparently about a young Alfred? What are some other comic book shows that have completely fallen through the cracks? Pennyworth is definitely one of them. That is about Alfred Pennyworth. It is Spy Days. It is from one of the creators of Gotham. It airs on Epix, which is part of the reason that nobody watches it. And in the second season, they're bringing in Thomas and Martha Wayne, and Martha is pregnant with a young baby. Who is the baby? We don't know yet, but we'll find out at some point during the second season. That's pretty exciting.
Stay tuned to find out.
Will the fetus put on the cape and cowl?
I think there was like a Powers TV show that was on like the PlayStation Network. I didn't get to check out.
Wow, good answer, Pete. Yes.
I mean, it's tough. It's one of those things where it's like, as a nerd, when things came out, like I had to go see it. But now there's just so much stuff that, there isn't enough time in the day to see everything that you want to. So it's kind of crazy to see where it is now.
There's this show on a hard network to track down as well called Arrow that I just totally missed. I don't know what.
It's too bad you missed it because it started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll tell you the one that I haven't watched that I constantly feel bad about only watching the first couple of episodes of is Black Lightning, which I really like the first couple of episodes, and it's just the one show that's kind of fell to the wayside for me. But I think that is a show that has not fallen through the cracks. If anything, it's really built up pretty steadily.
And there's going to be a spinoff.
There's going to be a spinoff. Yes. It's only gotten more popular over time. That's one of those ones that be like, I got to go back and watch that because I know it's good. I just have not had time to check it out. A question here in the comments from Stray Bullet. New Mutants comes out on digital today. Who might kind of, if you feel like it, maybe going to watch it. I'll tell you, I've watched it. It's good.
Yes,
I like
want
New Mutants.
Is it worth paying for, though?
I you know that I like New Mutants as a title. You know that I'm a sucker for that. So it was definitely on the level of like, oh, that's magic. Oh, that's rain. Oh, this is very exciting. So I don't know. That's like definitely a movie that I don't have a lot of filter for, but it is a movie that I also think I didn't see it in theaters, but it's a home movie. Like it's definitely like a small movie with a couple of characters that has some fun horror elements to it and some good action, but it's not
a home movie. It's shot on a camcorder and made in the late 90s.
It's mostly a birthday party.
There's a picnic element. There's a lot of being like, put the camera away. Put the camera away. I don't want to be on camera. That's what magic says.
But no, it's. I enjoyed watching it. My wife saw it. It was the slowest, most boring movie she had ever watched in her entire life. So,
thank you for that. Yeah, all right.
But I thought it was good. I think it's worth a rental, personally.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to rent it. Especially Stray Bullet says it's $5 to rent. That price is nice. Kevin says, how does it compare to the 90s Generation X movie, which I remember watching when it aired, and that shit was BAD bad.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you, it's fine. Like, it is a fine teen slight horror movie. Anya Taylor-Joy, who everybody is going crazy about in Queen's Gambit right now, is awesome as Ileana. She is kind of like perfect as Magic.
Oh, wow. She's Magic.
Yeah. Maisie Williams is really good as Rain. There's, Sam and Bobby being friends, even though Charlie Heaton has like a ridiculous accent to the movie. It's just fun to see them hanging out and doing stuff. And it's like, if you think about it also in the span of the X-Men movies, a lot of the X-Men movies were real bad. And this is nowhere near the bottom of the X-Men series. If anything, it's one of the more faithful X-Men movies, which is very refreshing, given that a lot of them are like, what are you doing? These are not even the characters, please. I just want to see the characters on screen.
In Cypher, how's Cypher's role?
Yeah.
I watched through the credits to see if there was like a post-credits thing, and it must have fallen off the copy that I watched, but I'm sure he was there.
I think there's a thesaurus on a desk at one point.
They use a lot of words.
Shots
They use a lot of words, and that felt like an Easter egg for Cypher, I think.
Yes, exactly. They speak English. Huge Cypher ref.
All right, folks, that is it for your audience questions. We are going to move on to our next section, which is trivia, and for that, we're going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
Pete LePage.
All right. We just need someone to volunteer. Should we go with YouTube since we did the crowdcast the last couple of times? What are you thinking?
Volunteer for what, Pete?
Somebody
Please
over on YouTube
tell us what you're doing.
This is the part we give back to you, the lovely audience. It's an opportunity to win $25 free in the form of a gift card to Midtown Comics Online.
While we're waiting to see whether somebody on YouTube wants to raise their hand to do trivia, to answer a couple of questions here. First hand up guy wants to know if Karma is in the movie, Warlock, Magma. No, none of them are in the movie. It's Rain, Ileana, Sam, Bobby, and Danny Moonstar are the five main characters. Also, Cecilia Reyes is in it. She is the doctor who is treating them in the facility. Cool. And that's pretty much it. That's all of the characters of the movie. Kevin says Cypher will be in the Cypher cut, 7 hours and $250 million more dollars. Absolutely, you need at least $250 million to CGI generate a blonde male.
Who reads sometimes.
Yeah, there you go. We don't have anybody on YouTube. Is there anybody over on Crowdcast?
Nope.
Wow.
I don't know. They're talking about Taylor Swift or something. I don't know what's going on YouTube right now.
No shame there. I've been really into Taylor Swift lately.
Oh, wait. We got a hand up from Scott Carpenter. Scott Carpenter has a hand up here. So, Scott, you are our trivia person. You are going to get to do trivia this time. So let's kick it off. with some trivia.
All right. So today's trivia is on topical comic news. I'm going to read you a question. Listen to all three possible answers. Get all three questions right. $25 will be yours. All right. Here we go.
And just to clarify, just put the letter in the YouTube comments. You're definitely going to be right. And we'll confirm that. But we're a little bit delayed on YouTube, so stick with us.
All right, great. Here we go. Question number 1. In DC Future State, Wonder Woman gets her own title as blank. Is it A, Wonder Girl, B, the Amazonian, or C, Billy Porter? So it's either A, as Justin revealed earlier in the show, or if you weren't listening at all, you could be completely wrong.
Scott Carpenter says the letter.
Great.
No, that's not what we meant, Scott. We meant just put A in the comments.
A is
put A
correct.
in the comments.
Scott got it right. Let's move on.
Yeah, you said the letter.
Let's
All right, here
move
we
on.
go.
Pete positioning himself to replace Alex Trebek on Jeopardy. This is his audition tape.
Hey,
Let's
rest
make
in
it
peace,
good.
dude. Don't do stuff like that.
This
Don't-
is Pete's audition tape. Let's make this really pop,
Oh
guys.
my God! Don't do stuff like that. All right.
All right. Oh, he said A. He said A now.
Okay, great. Hasbro announced in 2021 it will have a crossover of Transformers and blank. Is it A, X-Men, B, GoBots, or is it C, Susan Sarandon? So it's either A, which is the correct answer, or you could say B or C.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, since it is A, since it is Transformers, and I'm sure Scott's going to say that in a second, I'm very excited to see Wolverine fuck Bumblebee on the moon. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yes, exactly. Here he is.
You're all
This
sorts of messed up.
This is doing right after they finished. Is what t-shirt I'm
Don't
wearing.
say things like that.
Why?
Oh, he says
Because
A.
he
There we go.
Right.
That was A. A was the guess.
All right, here we go. Last one. Jeff John said that there could be a sequel to blank. Is it A, Blackest Night, B, Three Jokers, or is it C, Alan Arkin? So it's either
The sequel
A,
to Alan Arkin is Adam Arkin.
Ooh, nice. So it's either A, which is not correct, or it's B, Three Jokers, which we all really like. So we'll be excited for a sequel to that.
I don't know if we all really like it.
I'm being sarcastic. That was
What is it going to be? 6 Jokers?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or-
Ooh, B. Scott says B.
That is correct.
Nice.
Unbelievable. Incredible. Scott, congratulations. Shoot us an email at comicbookclublive@gmail.com. You're going to get a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics to spend on the comic books of your dreams. As we all know, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day, unless you're DC Comics, in which case today is New Comic Book Day. Yes, Pete. The secret movie. What is the secret movie?
Yeah, the secret movie is Noel, the famous Robin Williams movie, Noel.
Not the Anna Kendrick movie that was just released on Disney+.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. What are you looking forward to? Pete, you want to go first here? What are you looking forward to that's coming out tomorrow?
Sure. Once in Future number 13 and Ice Cream Man number 21.
Oh, yes. I think we're all excited for that Ice Cream Man.
Oh, man. That's so creepy and so good.
Justin, what about you?
I'm looking forward to, and this is a pick I did not see coming, but Widowmakers, number 1 from Marvel Comics, which focuses on Yelena Belova, who replaced Black Widow for a brief time and was sort of the villain of an arc of Black Widow. It's a standalone issue where we see Yelena Belova and Red Guardian sort of meet up. Great story where you really get Yelena Belova is like fighting her way through a bunch of things, but this monologue going on in her head the whole time is about politics, her place in the world, Russia's place in the world, and it really gets into some such interesting things. And to have a character with such a point of view, I was really impressed by that. And I mean, I will be when I read it.
Sure, whenever that
Sure.
happens. And I'm looking forward to 7 to Eternity, number 14 from Image Comics.
Great call.
Just to plug it again, we're going to have Rick Remender on the show in about 2
man.
weeks to talk about this title.
I'm super nervous about
that. It'll go fine. Don't even worry about it. But this title has been away for so long. It's so smart. It's such an interesting take on fantasy. I'm really excited to have it back. And Jerome Opena's art on it is absolutely gorgeous as well. So that's very exciting. And all of these titles, very surprisingly, are going to be on our Stack podcast that comes out of the Comic Book Club feed. And it's
how do you do that every
Wednesday
week
at 9 a.m.? It's crazy how that works out. So check out all those reviews there. And folks, I think that's it for our show. A couple of things before we go. Thank you to our amazing guest, Kylar Merrell. Check out Stonewood Mountains now on Kickstarter. Travis Gibb from Cthulhu Invades Oz, also on Kickstarter. And Isaac Goodhart from Victor and Nora, a Gotham Love Story from DC Comics. Awesome stuff. Definitely check that out. A couple of things to plug as well. Umbrella Podcademy, our Umbrella Academy podcast, is now live. We're going to have a new episode, we promise, going up this Thursday, so check that out.
It's coming.
It's coming. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support this show. Join our Slack. Get back, not issues, but back podcasts. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and many more. At Comic Book Live on Twitter. For Comic Book Club, good night.
Good night, guys. Stay safe out there.
CBE. CB.
You can't take away Kimmy Gatewood, you asshole.
Wait, is there a beat on this?
Yeah.
Did you add a beat?
It's a remix.
That's what he's been doing the whole time during the show.
Comic Book Club.
Let me be honest. This kid's got a future as a jazz vocalist.
Don't gas him up.
No, I like this.
Comic Book Club. It's a club of comics. Comic Book Club.
He's right. You can't argue with him. He's right.
I'm sorry, Kimmy Gatewood.
Comic Book Club. Yeah. Comic Book Club.
I like he celebrates his own work and then shoots a pistol in the air, which you should really keep him away from guns.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Later.